Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Cherry Bennett. I'm the Director of People and Policy at the Council, and welcome to today's Let's Talk session where we are talking about the cost of living. As you know, these meetings are chaired jointly between the Council and 3SG, so my colleague Kate and I will be chairing the meeting today. And we've got a number of speakers that Kate will introduce for you this morning, who will give short presentations around the work that they are doing across Bath and North East Somerset to support our communities in working on the cost of living. Normally this meeting is chaired by Mandy Bishop, so although my name originally was Mandy Bishop on the Zoom invite coming in here, I am covering for Mandy today. I thought it might be helpful just to give you a brief introduction in terms of what the Council's currently doing, and Kate will do the same from a 3SG and partner perspective as well. The Council is currently facilitating a cost of living working group with key partners from across our community wellbeing hub and from across Bath and North East Somerset. We meet on a fortnightly basis, chaired by Will Godfrey, our Chief Executive. And we really are using these meetings to share knowledge, to share information and intelligence about what's going on for our communities, to share challenges and to work up how we might support all of our partners and our communities best in dealing with the cost of living crisis that's facing everyone. We've been working on some dedicated web pages for the cost of living through our Live Well website, and we'll make sure we put links to that in the chat for this meeting so that you can see the work we are doing. That Live Well Baines website has a wealth of information for individuals, for households, for families, for partners to see the breadth of support that is available for people living here. It's really worth a look, so I strongly encourage you to take a look at those pages if you haven't seen them before. There's some really helpful information there. The Council is also setting up a network of warm spaces, so a directory where we're asking organisations that are open and available to be warm spaces to put their details in, so that at a glance you can, and our communities can see if they would like to access a warm space, where they might be able to go in different places and at different times. If those households are struggling to keep their own homes warm and to meet the cost of energy for their own homes. Again, we'll put a link in for that network, for the Warm Spaces network. Again, it's really worth a look. Encourage anyone else you know that might have a warm space that they might be able to provide to register on that directory, and so that we can help promote it. We'll talk a little bit about energy costs. We know even for places to be able to be open as warm spaces, meeting energy costs is a challenge. So we have some information around that as well. At the moment, we're in the process of creating an online guide for professionals across the region to help navigate through all the information, and you'll see there's a wealth of information out there. And trying to get it all together and in one place is really helpful and really important. So this information for professionals helps them to navigate and help families then navigate their way through things like financial help, grants and energy savings. The guide's not quite ready yet, but we're hoping to get it out early next week. And again, it will be through the Live Well and through the Community Wellbeing Hub web pages. Just final point from me before I hand over to Kate. We're soon going to be launching a small grants programme as part of the Council's Community Contribution Fund, which can be received. So the fund itself is funded by residents who wish to donate to local causes. And through that fund, this small grants programme, we're offering small grants of up to £250 that partners can apply for to help with energy costs and running those activities to help residents with the cost of living. So it might be for warm spaces, but it might be for activities and other things, again, to support our residents with the cost of living. So that contribution, that ability to apply for small grants through the Community Contribution Fund will make those details available for you as well. Kate, can I hand over to you?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Cherry. Good afternoon. Yes, it is just good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kate Morton. Those of you who don't know, I My day job is I'm the Chief Exec of Bath Minds, who are a local mental health charity and provider organisation. I'm also the chair of 3SG. I'm sure most of you know 3SG. I think a lot of you will be members. We're an infrastructure organisation across Baines. And Miles, you're right in front of me on the screen. Miles Lloyd is our project manager. Unfortunately, Becky is on leave, but not unfortunately for her. Miles, project manager, and Miles, I believe, got 200 members as of today. So that is a fantastic achievement. And 3SG really provides the voice and the glue for our third sector and social enterprise and voluntary organisation providers. So we're really, really key. And if you aren't aware of us or you want to know more information, then please contact Miles. Maybe you could put your details in the chat, Miles. I just wanted to echo everything that Cherry said, really. And as with my mental health hat on, with our Bath Mind hat on, I would say that we've seen about a fourfold increase in recent weeks of people coming through our crisis lines, really concerned, real anxiety about what's happening at the moment and what's to come down the line this winter. And I know that working with many other provider organisations, we're all seeing a really significant increase in concern and people coming through our system. So I'm sure you'll hear a lot about that with the speakers today. We are one of the partners of the Community Wellbeing Hub that Cherry mentioned, and I just wanted to emphasise the support that the Hub can give partners and residents, certainly, obviously, that is available across all of Baines. And it's really, really important that we're there for people currently around that cost of living crisis issues. We can find information there on the warm spaces, on the grants and many other things. So please do all. Can everybody turn off their mics? Thank you. Some feedback. Please do contact the Hub. I'm just going to give the number. Maybe we could put the number in the chat as well. So the number for the Hub is 0300 247 0050. Thanks, Sarah. One of the things that we are launching in November is an online referral form for professionals to receive additional support, and that is getting the right support to the right person at the right time. So that's a really exciting development in our own process of the Hub, and again, you'll find information on that on the website. We're also working with colleagues at the RUH to provide what we're calling a hub and spoke model of the Hub. So the Hub will be the Hub, and we're looking at outreach into other areas, starting in the RUH and hopefully going wider. We'll be in the atrium, and that will be very much supporting residents of Baines, clinicians, patients to actually receive the right support and avoiding staying in hospital for any longer than is necessary. And to do that really good transfer home and into the community and receiving the relevant services and the relevant connections and contacts that we need to make. So that is really, really important that we're developing as well. I'm going to hand you over to our speakers, and we do have today, let me bring them up, there's a little change. So first off, I think is Simon Lawson. Simon is the Chief Exec of Citizens Advice Baines, and I think Simon will cover money matters, debt and advice. We have Wendy Loads from Stop Loan Sharks. We have Kirsty Langford from the Baines Trading Standards. We have Millie Carmichael, the Fair Food Alliance, and finally Joanne Salisbury from the Centre for Sustainable Energy. So a really, really rich and wide variety of speakers and experts coming to talk. And this is very much a discussion and open question event as well. So we're saying to our speakers, looking at them, 5 minutes each if possible, so that we can really open this up and have a really, really rich conversation. So I'll hand you over to Simon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate, and good afternoon, everybody. As you say, I'm Simon Lawson, Chief Executive at Citizens Advice in Baines. And like many agencies around this table, we are on the front line of this cost of living crisis. I'd just like to talk to you briefly about the context in which we're operating in at the moment, then look at some of the stats that we're seeing at the moment and some of the trends, and then look briefly to the future. So the context is like many organisations around this table and working in Baines, during the pandemic, we switched entirely to digital and telephone access for all our services. And that meant that there was a significant cohort of our clients, our sort of usual clients, some of the most vulnerable ones who probably weren't able to access our services during that time. And we estimate that's somewhere around 10 to 20% of our usual clients. That's not to say that they weren't getting any help at all, because some of them were, most of them were classed as vulnerable, and they were getting food support or support from the Wellbeing Hub or from other sources. And some of them were being referred to us. But in general, they weren't getting any advice support from ourselves or other organizations. During the pandemic, of course, there was a whole host of new advice problems came up around claiming benefits, around the furlough scheme, and around the various restrictions that were introduced. And so what we saw was there was a completely new cohort of new clients who hadn't sought advice from us before, hadn't needed to seek advice from us before, and to be honest, probably didn't even know that there were a range of advice agencies available. And so we saw a whole sort of new cohort of people coming to us with new problems. So our client base in some respects shifted during that time. We were dealing with new people, new issues, but some of the people that would normally get advice from us weren't able to do so. Now that we're opening up to face-to-face services as well, and we're opening 2 of the one-stop shops, and we'll be open up at Midsummer Norton in next month. Now what we're seeing is those old clients who didn't get advice during the pandemic are coming back to us, and they're bringing with them 2.5 years worth of stored up advice problems. Of course, the cost of living crisis is generating a whole new series of advice issues and demand for advice. Plus, all those new clients who sought our advice during the pandemic are now used to and know that there is advice available. So the level of demand for advice has gone up substantially with those 3 things that are hitting us: old clients coming back, new clients who know about us, and all the new issues that are being caused by the cost of living crisis. So that's reflected in some of our numbers, and I'll just quote you some stats if you don't mind. So in the last quarter, July to September, we helped just over 2,000 unique clients. We always measure unique clients, so we don't double count anybody who comes back to us multiple times, which some of our clients of course do. That was up 18% on quarter 1. Now that's extraordinary, because usually quarter 2 is our quietest period, because it covers the summer holidays, end of July and August, and we're usually quite quiet in that time. So to see a big increase on quarter 1 is just unprecedented. It was also a 28% increase on quarter 2 figures last year. So we're seeing an enormous increase in demand for advice caused by those 3 factors that I was talking about earlier. And then in addition to that, figures from National Citizens Advice indicate that there were around 22,000 Baines residents sought advice from the National Citizens Advice and information pages. So that just goes to show that the scale of issues locally, that number of people are coming to us and are also looking for advice from our national colleagues. And I think I'm probably just about in time, so I'll just talk briefly about some of those issues that are coming to us. Benefits and universal credit, it has always been our biggest issue, and it remains so. Interestingly, the next biggest issue now, as you could expect, is utilities and communications, and that is people struggling to pay electricity bills and gas bills, and that's over July, August, September, which is the summer. So we're expecting to see that go up dramatically during the next quarter from this month onwards. Interestingly, debt is usually our second biggest issue. That's dropped down to 3rd now. But I think the experience of debt advisors, both here and in other organisations, is that there's a sort of a tsunami of debt coming, because during the pandemic there was a whole host of restrictions on collecting debts, on evictions, that those have now ended, and of course the cost of living crisis itself is going to push a lot more people into debt. So we're expecting those numbers to go back up to their usual sort of level that we saw before. Top benefit issue was personal independence payment. We're very fortunate in Baines in that we have our own in-house appeals team who will take appeals on behalf of people who've been refused benefits by the DWP. That team, previous Citizens Advice services I've worked in have not had that level of resource. That team comprises four volunteers. It's volunteer staffed and volunteer led, and they alone bring in an additional £1 million of unclaimed benefits every year, and that money is brought into the local community. It's given to local people in their pockets, and primarily it's spent in the local community. You've probably heard me say this before, but it doesn't do any harm to emphasize that again. Just in terms of who is seeking our advice, we had 5 clients in the 15 to 19 age range. We had 5 clients in the 90 to 94 age range. Everyone else was in the middle. About 30% of the clients we saw were in the 50 to 64 age range. Those three categories are our biggest. And of the people who came to us, 62% said that they had either a disability or a long-term health condition, and that number has been creeping up, as you'd expect, over the time. Just looking at some of the trends, certainly what you can see from this is that, as you'd expect, more and more people are struggling to afford heating and utility bills in their homes. But anecdotally, speaking to our advisors, we're certainly seeing that people are presenting us with more complex issues, and our clients are becoming more vulnerable. More and more of our clients have got mental health problems, and as you see, 62% have got a disability or some long-term health problem, and that means that our advice is more necessary than ever for those people, but it also means that it's more challenging for our advisors to unravel all those complex interrelated problems. The other trend that we're seeing, and this is national, is that more and more people are coming to us with debts, and they have negative budgets, and we do financial statements for them. We look at their income and their expenditure, and there just isn't any money to go to any of the creditors, and that means that those people are going to be in debt pretty much, in some cases, for the rest of their lives. That they are just never going to get out of debt, and that all the usual debt solutions that we can bring, a lot of those just aren't going to work for people. And what a lot of our advisors tell us now is that more and more of our clients are that there's just no advice we can give to people. The only thing we can do is try and get them some additional income through a charity payment, through a fuel voucher or a food voucher, just to try and get them through the day, get them through the weekend, and there's just no advice solution to some people because they simply just don't have enough money to live on. So just
Simon,
in terms
can I
of
just ask how are you doing, because we're needing to wrap up this one. Sorry.
how to refer to us, you can refer to us through the Wellbeing Hub or details of our free phone number and our outreaches on our website. And just one last plug for the National Citizens Advice cost of living briefings. They happen monthly. The next one is on the 11th of November. Thank you for your reminder, Kate. That's it from me.
Sorry, Simon, that was very rude of me, but I was just anxious that we give every speaker some time, and I really want the conversation to be had as well. So, but that was really, yeah, really rich and really helpful. Thank you. I'm going to hand you straight over to Wendy Loads from Stop Loan Sharks. Need to get that name right, Wendy. Hello there. Hand over to you.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much, and thank you for asking me along to talk about the project. Yeah, we're a government task force set up in 2004 as a pilot project and became a national project in 2011. We investigate, arrest and prosecute illegal moneylenders and help the victims try and get their lives back on track. There was a report done about 12 years ago now, and they estimated that over 300,000 people in England were using illegal lenders. But a report was done last year by the Centre for Social Justice, and they reported that over 1 million people now in England are using illegal lenders. So these reports were done last year, and it was quite interesting because a lot of people were saying that they basically borrowed from loan sharks because for energy bills and things like that, and that's before the massive rise of this year in energy bills. So we dread to think of where that million figure is going to get to. We are seeing a rise in taxi drivers. That's kind of the main thing at the moment we're seeing turn into illegal lenders. And we did about 7 years ago actually arrest and prosecute a taxi driver in Bath. And we're also seeing a rise in carers as well, turning to illegal lenders. Now, there's three reasons, I think, why illegal lending is getting worse out there. The pandemic has definitely pushed people towards illegal lenders. Also, the payday lending industry, that's getting smaller and smaller. A lot of these companies are going out of business. And whatever we think of payday lenders and home credit companies, we all have our personal views, don't we? But without those kind of organisations, if people can't borrow from the banks and don't know about the local credit unions, people are finding themselves going more towards illegal lenders. Now, the problem is it's taking about, on average, about 2.5 years for people to report the loan shark. So obviously we're now just starting to pick up from the pandemic, and people are contacting us and saying, we did borrow through the pandemic because we lost our jobs, mostly kind of in the hospitality sector. So with the cost of living at the moment, we know that people are going to be borrowing from illegal lenders to make ends meet with energy and things like that. But we're probably not going to pick them up for another 2.5 years. And that's a major concern for us. Now, we want people to know about our team, to trust us. We do have posters and leaflets and, little business cards. So we feel if we can get as much as that out in the community and people get to know about us, then they'll be reporting before that 2.5 years time limit sort of thing. So if you want any posters or leaflets, I will put my email address in the chat, and please just drop me an email. We kind of feel, we used to have kind of a profile a few years back of what the victim of a loan shark would look like, and it was kind of single mum, social housing, couple of children. But that's when I started this job back in 2007. But as the years gone on, we are seeing anybody from all walks of life, and any age as well, becoming victims of illegal lenders. And we do feel, because of the rise in the cost of living, there'll be more loan sharks setting up as well. They can make big money from illegal lending. We had one loan shark in under a year. He collected £648,000 from the people he'd lent money to. So there's big money to be made in it. So we feel that because there's lots more vulnerable people out there, there'll be more setting up. When we arrest a loan shark, the maximum custodial sentence we can get just for illegal lending is 2 years, and it carries up to a £5,000 fine. But because we don't use a criminal prosecution service, we kind of, we prosecute for all offences, money laundering, a lot of drug offences go hand in hand. So the more we can, get them on offences for, the more likely they are to get a longer custodial sentence. So as I say, at the moment, we feel it's going to be a massive impact on people, the cost of living, and more people are going to turn to them. But as I say, we want to get them to them earlier rather than 2.5 years. We did have a young lady call our hotline last year, and she actually said to us, I've been wanting to ring you for months, but I haven't plucked up the courage, she said, but now I've got a bottle of pills in one hand and I've got your hotline number in the other, and I've chosen to ring you today, which was amazing, absolutely amazing. We're so glad she did that, but we really want to get to people before they get the bottle of pills in that hand. And yet a lot of other problems go alongside people that are borrowed from loan sharks. A lot of mental health issues we deal with, a lot of addictions as well. So we need to work with all the partnerships out there, so we can actually help these people holistically. I'm doing a lot of work at the moment with the NHS. I feel that maybe more people will be turning to the NHS and doctors' surgeries with mental health issues and trying to get through them that way. And also I'm doing a lot of work with food banks and community larders. So obviously people will turn up, more and more people wanting food. And, if we can get in there, they're the two kind of places at the moment I'm going to concentrate for the next few months and see what we can do. So really that's the project, and that's kind of what we're doing at the moment.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Wendy. Wow.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Can I just check, is Kirsty on the call? I can't see your name, but it maybe you're called Mandy Bishop as well, along with many others. Okay. While we wait for Kirsty to hopefully join us, hope everything's all right with Kirsty. Can I move you on to Millie Carmichael from the Fair Food Alliance? Can't say it the right way around. Millie, I think you're here, aren't you? Yes, you're right in front of me. There you are. Hi, welcome, Millie.
Thanks, Kate. I do have a couple of slides that may help, but I can just talk. Am I okay to share a screen?
Can we do that, Sarah, Dave, Sarah, anybody? I'm never sure.
I've got a green spot here. I can
go for it. Yeah, okay. Go for it.
Okay. All right. Can we see those?
Yeah, we can see those, Millie.
Okay, so that's me and my email address at the bottom. So representing the BAME's Fair Food Alliance. So I work in the public health team and I'm a health improvement officer. This is basically what we're doing in BAME's around affordable food. So we have an affordable food network that sits under this Fair Food Alliance, that strategic group, and that brings together the organisations like food banks and food pantries and clubs and fridges and community cafes, really anywhere where free and affordable food is being offered in the community. And so we connect them to ways of offering wraparound support. So there's a lot of joint working with, for instance, Citizens Advice and various other people. So I'm keen to contact Wendy after this to see how we can join up with you more closely around those things. We also have a group that's looking at income maximisation. So many of the people here, Citizens Advice, Welfare Support, Clean Slate, St John's, DHI, Curo, really anyone who has an interest in that. We have a network who come together in an effort to put across a kind of a coordinated approach so everyone knows what everyone else is doing. And then these are kind of some of our...
Say that for today, we'll say
okay. Can people turn their mics off? Thank you. If you can be on mute. We also have a page for the Affordable Food Network members. I think all of them are listed here on the Baines Food Finder. So if you're not familiar with that, I'd recommend that people have a look at that page, and that tells you where all of those places are, contact details, opening times, and so forth. There are different models of provision around free and affordable food. So it's quite important that people are in contact with the service that's going to give them the best help. One of the things that we've done recently, these are cash first leaflets are popping up all around the country, and we have a Baines version. There is a supply in our post room, so if people want copies of these in their own services, please contact me, and I'll make sure that they get sent to you. So basically these leaflets are bringing together the key organisations in Baines who are able to offer advice. I'm very conscious, having just listened to Simon talking about the pressures on CAB, that when we put out leaflets to say contact CAB, we're actually potentially increasing the pressure on your team. But I also think it's important that people know about where they can access help, and again, to access the most appropriate help for the problem that they're facing. So basically these leaflets say these are potential problems, these are potential solutions, and this is locally where you can go. So all in one place. They are also available online. I'll try and put the link in the chat when I've finished talking to you. A couple of other things that we're doing. We have a project around poverty proofing the school day. So there's a huge amount of resource now on the schools hub around helping schools to help the families and children that they're working with. And to audit the school day is essentially to make it more affordable for children. So we're currently working with 10 schools around that, and we're funding some increased outreach from Citizens Advice and Clean Slate, and we're confident that that will continue to roll out with support from the Trussell Trust over the next 3 years. And I'm aware that Citizens Advice and Clean Slate are funded for kind of outreach from other organisations too. So we're kind of part of that coordination to bring this help to the places where people are, to make that make it much easier and more accessible for people to be able to access support. And we many of the Affordable Food Network places are going to be, either have or are going to be, part of the Warm Spaces Directory. It's very welcome news around the those small grants to help with the additional costs for those, and the information around the affordable food places is also there in the cost of living support. I think that's probably all I was going to essentially share with people, just those links really to keep food in mind. Most of our members are saying, the Affordable Food Network members are saying that their membership is increasing, but they do still have capacity to take more membership, and the pantries and food clubs essentially operate on a basis of people coming on a weekly basis, and getting an affordable basket of shopping that might cost them maybe £3.50, but actually what it's worth in that basket of food is probably over £15 worth of groceries. People can come there first and then go to like ordinary retail to top up their weekly shop. And there's lots of wraparound support that sits around that. It's not just about the food. So yeah, please keep in touch. And if you're aware of other organisations who aren't on the Baines Food Finder and already part of the network, then I'm really keen to bring people on board with that. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Millie. I'm going to jump straight over to Joe Salisbury for Centre for Sustainable Energy. Sorry, Joe, can't pronounce that. If that's okay, that'd be great. Welcome.
Thanks, Kate. So my name's Jo Salisbury and I'm a fuel poverty advisor, and I work for the Centre for Sustainable Energy. For those of the people who don't know, Centre for Sustainable Energy, CSE, is an energy advice charity based in Bristol, but we work all over the southwest. So I'm based in Bath and I cover the whole of Baines. And what I do is I work with people who are either in fuel poverty or at risk of being in fuel poverty. So although I specialise in energy advice, we tackle the three main things that that cause fuel poverty. So that's high fuel costs, inefficient housing and low income. And we're, like everybody else here probably, we're really busy at the moment. And we've seen an increase of probably around 60% in referrals. And what we're seeing is a dramatic increase in the people on prepayment meters at the moment, because we feel that we know that they're the people that are seeing the immediate effects of the energy price increase. And they're not being able to afford to top up their prepayment meters. So they're in a situation where they have no electricity or no gas, whereas people who have bills, they know their bills are going up, but they're not in that no electric, no gas situation. So this week so far, I've done 2 events. And what people are telling me is they're cutting back. Now, where I used to hear that people are cutting back on luxuries, things like hairdressers and clubs, magazines, things like that, what I heard and what I'm hearing all the time now is that people are cutting back on basics. I had one lady yesterday said that she sits in the dark at night so she can afford to cook breakfast for the kids in the morning. I had one parent saying she's reusing dirty nappies so she can heat her home. So people are already at crisis point. And as we know, there is support out there, but there's not an awful lot of support, or people don't know where to find it. So we do have some fuel vouchers. We have quite a few fuel vouchers at the moment, which for a family is around £150 or just under £150, which will help these people immediately, but it's a temporary fix, and we know that. So we do follow up with targeted support. So we look at things like income maximisation. So we do a benefits chat, or we can refer people to other agencies like CAB, Clean Slate, etc., who can help them with things like that. Because as the majority of you know here, that there are £15 billion of unclaimed benefits every year. We do other things. So like I say, although we do specialise in energy advice, if we can help people save money elsewhere, then obviously they're going to have money to then heat or eat. So we look at other outgoings, things like broadband, mobile phone packages. There are a lot of social tariffs out there for now for people who are on benefits or on low incomes. Sky, Virgin, BT do a basics package for £15 per month. So if somebody's paying £40, that's an immediate saving that we can help them transfer that money so they can heat their home. We help people reduce other things, and with the social tariffs, there are, I think it's 4.2 million people are eligible for those social tariffs, and around 150,000 people are actually on them. So there is a lot more people who are eligible for them. We follow it up with a home visit. So we make sure people's homes are more energy efficient. So we can look at their heating, make sure they're using it properly, make sure that the draft proofing's in place, so the heat that they are actually paying for isn't just escaping through the drafts. So what we're looking at is obviously reducing their bills. Looking ahead, with the energy price guarantee now only for 6 months and ending in April, that's going to be a huge problem where people had that reassurance maybe for 2 years that their energy prices were going to remain. As we all know, the energy price cap or energy price guarantee was only an estimate of £2,500. Some people are going to be paying a lot more, some people are going to be paying less. But it's based on the unit price, but that is only now until April. So what we're really concerned about is the people who are just outside the benefits boundary. at the moment, they are just coping with no government help in place after April. I think they are going to be the people who are probably going to feel it the hardest. So what we've been trying to do, spread the word, building awareness, and just letting people know that that support is out there and where to get it when they do actually need it. So that's my message today, really, is just spread the word. There is help out there. We do a lot of we apply for a lot of grants with people to clear energy debts or water debts. And like I said, there are lots of things available to help people, but people need to know it's available. Okay.
Great, thank you very much, Jo. That is really helpful. And all speakers' contact details, emails, etc., and their website links are on the chat. So please do have a look through the chat if you're interested and want to follow up with anybody. Can I just ask a last call for Kirsty Langford in case I just can't see her, which is very possible. No, Kirsty, I hope she's okay. All right, what we'll do then, Chair, we will move into some open questions and discussions. If anybody's got any questions they'd like to ask us at 3SG and Community Wellbeing Hub, or any of the speakers, general questions, queries, any advice they have, would be great to hear. Oh, silence. Jack?
Jackie, yeah. Jackie, do you want to ask a question? Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
No, you just need to unmute. It's interesting that you're picking up those that fall in between, and that I think increasingly for us as an organisation, as in the Carer Centre, that there are a lot of people in Baines who are asset rich and cash poor, and they live in what I would call genteel poverty. So there are many people hidden, and they will fall through the net, having too much for this and not enough for that, actually, but it's very real. So I'm interested in that, and interested as what a group that we can do to reach those people, because they wouldn't naturally come up on the radar everywhere.
Thank you, Jackie. Colleagues in the virtual room, does anyone have any thoughts, information they might want to share? Dave, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, we've talked already about, obviously, the Community Wellbeing Hub in its base here at Peasdown, where it's been for 2.5 years. And we've obviously got that number, that 0300 number, which we're trying to encourage people to call into. And as part of that, Sarah and I are going to go off and do some of the training to potentially be on the triage team if the calls do start to come in, because we're obviously just using existing staff from other partner organisations who also have got their day job to do. But we also talked about the online referral form, and that is very close to being done. And that the idea about that would be that we could allow trusted organisations and groups to refer online people that they had actually concerns about. We've trialled it a little bit with the police, and we've had quite a lot of contacts with the police, who will tell you that they're spending 50 or 60% of their time on issues that are not crime related. Predominantly they are mental health issues, and they are spending hours and hours at A&E at the RUH, because the demand profile is so high. And so we're trying to, they've been referring people to us that they're coming into contact with. And quite often when we go to our multidisciplinary team meetings, which we have every Wednesday, some of the names that come forward are known to lots of different people, because they've always just bobbed along underneath the radar. And the cost of living crisis is going to do for us what COVID did for us in March 2020, is that these people are going to suddenly appear. And again, the whole ethos of the hub is that we need to try and wrap our services around them and encourage and try and unpick some of the more complex ones. So I suppose that would be the way of doing it, either online referral or actually getting them to call, or to get other agencies to do it on their behalf.
Cherry, can I just add to that as well? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that, Dave. And Jackie, one of the things that we're doing by reaching out to places like the RUH is to link up with those organisations. So Bath Mind have services in ED, for example, so picking up some of those people who are coming through in the mental health crisis. But it's about then linking up with what we're going to do in the atrium at the RUH and back into the hub. So we're really joining that up so much better. And hopefully we can take that out to Cambridge and Midsummer Norton and just go wider reach. So it's about us going out, making that outreach sort of work better, I think.
I think that's part of the picture, and we're involved with the hub as well. But I'm thinking about those people that are quietly. I'll tell you why. I'm in the last big recession we have. Somebody I know fell through the net, starved to death, and died. All right, and that is horrific. That should not have happened. This was somebody with moderate learning difficulties, not severe, moderate, but sustained work, got made redundant from work, parents died, not picked up anywhere, was in a house that they owned, and they just spent their money. They were found dead with no food in the cupboard and emaciated. Now, that's an extreme case, and I wouldn't like to see that happen again, but there are going to be people who are not coming into contact with the social services, who are not coming into contact with hospitals, that are making choices on what they do, and eventually it's going to get to zero choices, and it's how we reach those.
Thank you, Jackie. That's a story that none of us want to ever see and hear about, is it? Millie's mentioned in the chat that we have our village agents across Bath and North East Somerset. Dave, I wondered if you might want to say a little bit more about the village agents that we have.
Yeah, again, they're a really interesting initiative, been around for quite some time, and we found some additional funding to spread them into Bath. And basically they go out to some of these places and engage with people. And you're right, it's difficult to pick up those people that wouldn't necessarily come to our attention because they've not referred themselves. And what we're trying to do, and again with the village agents, is just push that community wellbeing hub idea and model, push that number, push the online referral form. The one thing that we haven't been able to crack yet is, could an individual member of the public refer somebody to us because they're the next door neighbour and they're worried about them, or they've had a conversation with them? We're getting stuff coming through from church-based organisations, from vicars' wives, all sorts of different things, and a couple of very vulnerable people came through that route. Once we've got them, they're in the system, and we can share the information with their consent in a confidential way amongst our partners. But you're right, there's a gap there that we're not quite sure yet how we're going to fill that. And so anybody's got any ideas or suggestions or best practice that other places are using, then please let us know, because we've got a really good model, and we know it's a good model because lots of other local authorities are in touch with us to say, can we have a virtual meeting with you and find out what you're doing? Because we've heard Wolverhampton is the next one we've got. We've had people from Dorset, people from the southeast, but we haven't quite just bridged that little gap for those people.
Hi, Dave. I was just thinking maybe sort of, I mean, obviously not for the poor person that Jackie was talking about, but social media campaigns. We try and do a lot of our work now through campaigns, and we are getting more and more clients come to us through social media, through Snapchat and TikTok and things like that. So I'm just wondering whether some of the other partnerships, whether that's something they do as well, and whether it's working for them or what really, because you're right, there's a lot of vulnerable people out there that we're not tapping into, and a lot of people, maybe not the older people, but a lot of other people are using kind of all these social media platforms, and it's a really good way to get the message out there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it goes out on the council social media. But I mean, to be honest, we suffer, as an organisation, is that how many people read social media that's come from their local council? It's
or how many people, Dave, are actually accessing social media. We've got people who are digitally excluded and have digital poverty, and I think we really need to and I know that when we were working at the hub during COVID, 3SG, so Miles, we did an awful lot of work to reach those individuals who just did not have access to any online system or any social media. So it's getting that outreach again and ringing up the hub, and we've got befriending services, we've got a range of services. It's just about how we make that kind of in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, do you want to come in? Oh, you're still on mute, Joe. Don't worry.
There we go. I was just going to say, is there any way we could get a slot, or somebody could get a slot on Points West or something like that? Because I know when we featured on news channels, we had a huge increase in referrals and hits to our website and things like that. So people, especially sort of like the older community and people who aren't on social media, do still watch local newses. So it might be an option.
Thank you, Joe. I think that's a really good idea. We've done some work on that, but you can just never do enough, can you? So I think Dave, Sarah and I will definitely, and Kate will take that as an action point as well. I think we've tried, the message around the hub has been that whole piece around help is out there and here's our number, and there's no wrong door, just phone the number, and whatever you need, we'll try and kind of, as you've heard from colleagues today, signpost people in the right way. But as you say, you all knowing it is helpful, and you will help us to pass that out, but equally we can absolutely do more there. I've seen in the chat, I was just following the chat there as well, Josh from the University of Bath we're working with the Students' Union. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing?
Hi everyone, my name's Joshua. I think some of my colleagues are in the chat as well. The university, in partnership with the Students' Union, I hope are launching a project start of November aimed at the over 60s to open up a warm space in Oldfield Park. So we've got a venue down there, and we're hoping to open a space for about 30 people once a week on a Wednesday afternoon. We haven't gone out with the publicity yet, just because we're still kind of fleshing out the project, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to mention it to some of our community partners, get your input on it and see what you think of the service, and kind of see if you would be interested in helping us with referring people to the activity, and generally just to make some of the key players in Bath aware of it just before we go live with the comms to other organisations, so that you're not surprised when we start emailing people or you hear about it. Hi Dave, I can see you put your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Dave, do you want to come in? I could see lots of people nodding. The people I could see nodding then.
And I mean, that is a really good point, Josh, and it's something that we need to create those greater links, because sometimes we forget, and it came out certainly during COVID in March and April 2020. Of course, almost a third of the population of Bath are students, but they really do bob underneath the radar. They didn't in 2020, because obviously quite a few of them did get COVID, and we were delivering parcels to them, and we were able to link in with them. But of course, they're only around for a short space of time, and then they move on again. But we've got to find a way of doing that effectively with the younger population, the student population.
Thank you.
We've got a task force looking at some of those. Sorry.
Okay.
If you've got some concerns about that, I can put you in touch with some members of staff who are looking at the kind of cost of living crisis that are affecting students at Bath at the moment, just to make sure that we have got the wider package of what's available for students outside of just what the university can offer. So I can link you up with colleagues on that. I think the project I'm talking about today is what we're trying to offer externally, just because we're putting together a package of what we're offering internally, but we didn't want to leave out the external offer at the same time.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, Josh. Dave is nodding. So I think a link is already made, but we'll certainly be in touch. Thank you very much. Anna, do you want to come in?
Yeah, sort of linked to what Josh was saying, because Josh used to work in the Students' Union in the volunteer team, but now is obviously like head of public engagement. So it was really, again, that external offer of where student volunteers might be willing, I'm sure some of them will, to volunteer for any initiatives you've got. So, I'm looking around sort of St. John's Foundation, it might be where we can work with your volunteer coordinator, where I know you have a timetable for clients for certain sessions, for example. We have such a range of different groups, societies, individuals that might be able to really sort of come and do some activity or whatever it might be, hands-on, cup of tea, whatever, for a chat. So do get in touch with, I'll put it in the, I'm used to using Teams, yeah, chat. I'll put it in the chat and put our email address so you can get in touch.
Yeah, Anna, thank you so much. I think we will definitely take you up on that offer as well also. So thank you. Mark Hayward, do you want to come in?
Thanks, Jerry. Just an observation and a question, really. We found that many older people are asset rich but cash poor. And I just wanted to kind of know, is there any help available to people to start unpicking their assets to access them better? Because a lot of old people are very unsure and very nervous about taking that type of action. And I just wondered if we're seeing any rise in requests for those sorts of services, and if not, if we know where people can get advice about them.
Simon Lawson, I might direct that one to you if that's okay.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Jerry. Yeah, I mean, they can contact us for sort of, basic advice, but we would then be referring on to sort of financial experts. I mean, that would be something that an independent financial advisor would advise, and we're just not qualified to do that. But we would be the first port of call. So people can contact us, and then we can refer on. That we don't have that expertise ourselves.
Thank you, Simon. And are many people, I don't know if it's in your data particularly, are you seeing many people come to you with those kinds of questions?
I don't think so. I think we're seeing more people in the sort of the crisis. I can't afford to buy food for this weekend. It's that sort of level, and I think that tends to be a sort of the way that people react to advice, is that people do tend to come to see us in crisis situations when they're out of options. What we would ideally like is for people to come at an earlier stage, because then it's sort of less difficult and less stressful for them, and selfishly it's easier for our advisors to provide that advice. But the nature of advice is that it is often people in crisis who come to us, and that's just an unfortunate fact. And with our capacity at the moment, we are largely looking at sort of struggling to deal with those people, let alone more people coming to us.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. I listened to the CAB webinar last week, or the end of the week before, and it really struck me, that urgency piece, and the more time you have to work with your clients, even if it's just a couple of days, that the better the results are for them, and the easier it is for your teams as well. I can hear that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, any further questions? I can see a little bit more in the chat. I'm definitely thinking there's another student conversation, conversation we need to have with our university partners, and a separate conversation both around our students, but also around what our students are doing to work in the community. So I can definitely see a spin-off conversation coming out of this one without.
Cherry, I was just sorry to interrupt. I think that's absolutely right, and I'm thinking that we in the hub need to talk about that, because that's something we can connect with Anna and Bath University, and obviously Josh. I'm just trying to think who the Bath person is, but we'll do that definitely.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. It's Alice, isn't it? So thank you.
Sorry, thank you. Yes, we'll have a chat. Yeah.
Josh, do you want to come back in? I can see your hand up there.
I was just going to say I'm happy to coordinate that conversation if you want to suggest some players from your side, and I can pull together the pool of relevant people.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Dave Dixon, really, to be honest, he's put his thumb up already. That it will coordinate all of us. If you can coordinate as well, that would be brilliant. Thank you. And Bath Spa Uni involved in our new law clinic project as well. That's excellent. Thank you. Colleagues, any further points, questions, comments, thoughts, insights people may have they want to share? No. So I will say, before I pass over to Kate to kind of close the meeting, I just want to say on behalf of all the colleagues in the council, but across the hub and the partners as well, thank you all so much for coming and giving your time, your wisdom and your thoughts. These conversations are often so difficult, aren't they? But they are truly moving and inspiring, and that message about help is out there is it's just brilliant, and you can kind of see what we do when we all come together. But Kate, I'll pass over to you and let you be far more eloquent in closing the meeting than I.
Thank you. Not at all. That's absolutely what I was going to say, Cherry. So it's lovely that we're on the same page, isn't it? I also want to give thanks from the Hub and from 3SG, from Dave and Sarah Dixon, etc., for all of you, for your time. As Cherry said, this is the start of the conversation, and we want to come back around on this. I think we need to keep lines of communication open with the Hub. I think we're going to look at having another Let's Talk, looking at Sarah probably soon. So we will obviously keep you appraised of that. Just thank you to Simon, Wendy, Millie and Joe, particularly for your time today. That's really appreciative. And just to finish, really, to say that we know, don't we, that as a community we're really powerful and that we need to be working together, and we do work so brilliantly together. So it's about us coming together, and we can make change, and that's really exciting. And thank you for your time today. 2 minutes.